Immaginate di acquistare uno yacht.
Imagine if you were to purchase a yacht. From whom would you have it built? From a small, growing company or a grand, well-known establishment? Perhaps even from someone close to home. This is Absolute, an all-Italian company founded in 2002. Not very old, but very experienced. Let's go see how they build their yachts.
Costruiscono I loro yacht. Vi dice nulla il nome?
Does the name Gobi mean anything to you? You've certainly seen it on some tens of thousands of boats built by Angelo Gobi,
Costruite dal signor Angelo Gobbi, che
a man who has been building Absolute yachts for about a decade. Well, if it isn't Mr. Gobi himself,
proprio il signor Gobbi.
good morning, how are you? I'm well, and you? Please tell me that you haven't built 35,000 square meters of factory just to keep fit. Well, I do have to pedal around all day, so yes, I'd say that's part of the reason. I'd say that Absolute took advantage of the time during the economical crisis to develop the business, so that you'd be ready for when the market opened
Fosse
again.
ripartito.
Si può dire che è stato così perché noi siamo venuti in questa
Well, you could say that. When we arrived here at this establishment in 2008, the crisis had just begun. So we responded immediately and proceeded to make new models, new products, and we worked hard, encouraging all of the younger staff starting out here at Absolute to be patient.
incentivando tutto il gruppo dei giovani che fa parte dell'Absolute.
This year, we are investing more than €2 million in installations and expansions. So, do you feel that the market is starting to open up again? That there might be more sales in the near future?
Sì, il mercato sta ripartendo, anche se riteniamo un po' lentamente.
Yes, the market is growing once again, although we are proceeding a little bit slower than desired. By increasing the number of models and using newer techniques and styles, we hope to have more sales and vaster expansion of the market.
Nuovi armatori, ecco, e quindi per noi si dovrebbe ampliare il mercato.
E
And
adesso
what are
dove
your
va?
new horizons?
C'è sempre da correre qui, andare a vedere tutte le
Well,
varie...
we're running about, always expanding and changing. Our buyers are becoming more demanding, and they're very meticulous, so we'll need a lot more working hands around here.
Non sono più sufficienti 4 occhi, ma ce ne vogliono 8.
Well then, off to it. Have a good ride. Thank you. 35,000 square meters of factory.
Questo è lo studio di
This is the design studio. Here is where the boats and all the equipment needed to construct them are drawn up.
progetture per realizzarlo.
Everything is designed on these computers, from the main structure of the boat to the smallest detail, in order to make the perfect boat with the most efficient timing. There are special programs that allow you to simulate the hydrodynamics of the boat. This allows the designers to develop the best instrumentation and performance possible. When designing any element of the boat, it is necessary to follow each stage, including prototype and then installation. The whole operation and the work of the architects, the stylists, the engineers and the builders all begins at the computers, where the designers can see for themselves if the project is perfect.
Absolute ha scelto
Absolute has chosen to build all their boats completely within the shipyard. That way, all the construction processes are directly under control to ensure the highest quality.
la qualità è massima.
This is the mould. It has just been waxed. A veil of wax is laid onto the mould, then a gel coat will be applied before the fiberglass is set. Everything must be very clean in order to obtain the perfect lucidity of the boat. To make sure that everything remains spotless, they have even covered the floor.
Il gel coat e la resina sono stesi
The gel coat and resin are applied by hand and with great care. Only so it can be possible to create the complex and intricate shapes that are carefully formed for both aesthetic and performance purposes.
per ottenere le migliori prestazioni.
Precision during construction is very important for the outcome of the structure and aesthetics of the boat. And to reduce any defects, it is important to ensure that the workplace remains a consistent temperature. The climate is controlled by a computer. These large warehouses are heated and cooled by a geothermal energy system. This is carried out by exchanging heat with deep aquifers through pipes that descend into the wells about 120 metres deep, saving a lot of energy and keeping pollution at a low level. Mr. Maggi, what exactly is this structure?
Questa struttura è una struttura che noi denominiamo ISS. Lo scopo vero è dare una bella...
This structure is the one that we call ISS. Its real purpose is to give the boat solidity. So basically, we've created this structure that is capable of absorbing the stress of the waves. And overall, having a standard structure such as this, always the same, precise and accurate to the millimetre, makes it easier for assembly.
Componenti sempre standard e sempre precisi al millimetro. Io e Marcello Be, quando abbiamo fondato questa ditta...
When Marcello Bayer and I founded this company, we came up with the name Absolute, a modern name with traditional background. And we really wanted to keep the essence of tradition, but at the same time be able to express ourselves as the progressing enterprise that we are. So we know the importance and tradition of sailing, and all that is and ever has been nautical. However, our work is veering towards a new way of thinking, conceiving processes that are more industrial and always projected towards the future. This is Absolute.
Al futuro. Questo è Absolute.
And now let's take a closer look at this ISS system.
Ogni elemento di questa struttura è stato
It's been designed on the computer and then moulded by CNC machines. When all the pieces are ready, they are taken to be assembled. It's a technique exclusive to
è
Absolute.
una tecnica esclusiva di Absolute.
Look at these bulkheads, similar to those at home. They have been shaped and moulded for cables, piping, switches. Everything has a precise place, and every place has a precise
Il
purpose.
posto ha qualcosa. Da questa idea originale è però nata
This
una...
original idea, however, created a bit of a challenge. The integrated structure must fit perfectly within the hull of the boat. For this reason, it must be built on a sort of metal frame to ensure proper assembly.
che non concede tolleranze.
Inserting the structure into the hull, uniting it to the bottom of the hull and the deck, issues a boat that is sturdy, solid and compact, able to withstand at high speeds and stress of the waves. The benefit of such structural strength also manages the minimisation of noise and vibration.
Sapete quanti
Do you know how many components are required to build a yacht?
uno yacht?
A few thousand. Absolute has designed a foolproof system to supply the production line of all needed elements and to keep the warehouse always fully stocked.
E per tenere il magazzino sempre ben fornito.
These gigantic shelves contain most of the pieces that are needed for assembly and are managed by an extremely efficient robotic system. Even before creating their boats, Absolute created first the finest structures and systems to build them. The boats are set up in different areas of assembly, divided per model, and it is quite impressive to see all the models being built at the same time. Absolute uses only Volvo Penta engines for a variety of reasons. For starters, its exceptional quality, performance and manoeuvrability. And secondly, since we have always dealt with this company, we are very familiar with their engines and, in particular, the IPS system. Absolute has vastly contributed to the development of the IPS project and has been so involved to the point of designing hulls based on said propulsion system to obtain a higher energy yield. Certainly during the life of a boat it can happen that it becomes necessary to dismount an engine, whether it be for a revision or a replacement. On the Absolute boats, the engine room is easily accessible. They did spend a little more time to design it that way, but only because they understand the important task of those who perform the maintenance and repairs. Before the boats are shipped out, they are tested on site. Here, the sea cocks are inspected and the electrical system is put into function.
Absolute costruisce imbarcazioni da 40...
Absolute builds boats from 4 ranges of 40 to 72 feet and a total of 12 models. But the growth and development are so rapid that probably by the end of this service these numbers will have changed. In fact, the Shipyard has already sold all productions of 2015 and a fourth of the products that will be produced in the next year, despite their increase of production capacity.
La capacità produttiva.
Cesar Mastroianni is responsible for relations with the distribution network. Well, here at Absolute, one of our ambitions is that of expanding our range of action around the world. We've been pursuing this idea since the very beginning with 2 strategies. The first is to maintain an extensive network of dealers, and secondly would to be implementing our products with the ideas, requests and needs that our dealers and customers express in the various boat shows that we are involved with around the world. So it's important to listen to the information and requests that come from your clientele. Absolutely, it's our customers who have more experience. They choose the product because their needs are met by the solidity and consistency of our boats. And the customers who have less experience choose us because they are fundamentally impressed by our product. However, both amateur and expert alike will feel with their own hands the 360-degree quality of our product. And there is where they see in the development and evolution of Absolute, we listen to what they say. How would you explain the success of this company? Well, we have a great team here. Some of us have decades of experience building boats under our belts, and of course, we mustn't neglect the bright intelligence of our young team of youth who always have great new ideas.
Quando ammiriamo una barca, dobbiamo
When we
pensare...
admire a boat, we must always think about how it was built, developed, designed. Only that way can we know that it is not only beautiful, but functional and safe. I can't wait any longer. Even if she's not finished yet, I have to take her out to sea.